He's a busy man, but taking time out for us, we appreciate that. Mike Mayock, the NFL Network, providing live coverage of the draft tonight starting at 8 Eastern. Fox will air NFL Network's coverage of rounds 1 through 3. And Mike Mayock joins us now. Mike, good morning. Thanks for joining us.
My pleasure, Dan. How you doing, man?
I'm doing okay. The Josh Allen story that broke last night, this morning, does it have any impact on your mock draft?
I don't think so. And this stuff happens every year. It's so frustrating. And, teams are going to do whatever work they have to do on it. But it's just, from my perspective, it's sad if any of those tweets are what they are. But he's a 17-year-old kid, and we've all done some stupid things.
Do you think the Browns know who they're taking?
Yeah, I don't think there's any doubt they know who they're taking, and at least at number 1. And if you're John Dorsey, I think you're wide open for business at 4. And I was trying to find a way in my mock draft to trade down out of 4 and get Mike McGlinchey, because I think that's the perfect. If they got their quarterback at 1 and filled that left tackle spot where Joe Thomas was, that would be a home run. So it wouldn't even surprise me, for instance, if Buffalo got up to, say, 6 and then 4, because I'm not sure Cleveland wants to go down to 12 because they won't get McGlinchey at that point.
Give the audience your top 5 picks.
You mean what I did last night?
Yeah.
My mock?
Yeah.
Cleveland at number 1 took Darnold. The Giants at number 2, and I think this is really where the draft really starts, because they could do 3 different things, but they're going to go with Saquon Barkley in my gut. The Jets at number 3, Broadway Baker Mayfield. Cleveland, again, could think of moving down, but if they stay there, I gave them Bradley Chubb at 4. And Denver's another potential move down, but I think they feel like they're closer to the Super Bowl team of 3 years ago than people think, and they take the best player in the draft available, Quentin Nelson, guard Notre Dame.
How do the Browns screw this up?
I don't think they do. I really believe, and I know that's kind of the talking point, but I don't think too much of this phases John Dorsey. He's been doing this for 27 years. He's very qualified. He's got a little swag to him. And I texted him when he took the Cleveland Browns job. I just said, hey, Dorsey, you have more salary cap room and draft picks than any GM in history. Don't screw it up. And I don't think he will. I really don't. I think he's got a lot of confidence in how he does things. He's very opinionated, but at his core, he's a really good talent evaluator.
Talking to Mike Mayock, NFL Network. The quarterback who concerns you the most?
There's 5 of them that everybody's talking about for the first round, and I eliminate quarterbacks just like evaluators do. I eliminate people to get the one I like, but I have concerns about all of them. I'm most excited, Dan, about Lamar Jackson. I am most excited to see what happens to him over the next 3-4 years, because I think he's kind of the future of what pro football could be. So I'm excited to see him. I'm very concerned about Josh Rosen, not because he doesn't have talent. He's got a ton of talent, but I think his durability issues and inability to protect himself in the pocket is a little bit like Sam Bradford. And they're both gifted throwers when healthy, but I don't think he can answer the bell every week.
Yeah, I'm right there with you on Lamar Jackson. I love that stock to invest in. Rosen, I think the fact he had 2 concussions this past year, I think that's been underplayed, Mike. We're talking about other things with him and, his intelligence or his attitude and work ethic and, privileged background. But, health would be the one thing I want to know about with Josh Rosen.
I think you're right, Dan. And I've been banging the table since day one about that. I don't understand why people think being intelligent is a bad thing. I don't get that. He's a tough kid, just like Sam Bradford's a tough kid, but he's got an inability to protect himself in the pocket. And he hangs in there and tries to make throws. And in addition to the 2 concussions this year, he had the shoulder the year before, his throwing shoulder. So, again, you asked me, what worries me the most. If I was a GM and I'm making a top 10 pick on a quarterback, that would scare the hell out of me, to be honest with you.
And I like Baker Mayfield a lot, and I don't study anywhere near what you do, but the one concern I had, it felt like when the defense got tight, like when you disguised your defense, or Georgia started to play a little man coverage, and then I saw some cracks there with Baker Mayfield. It's hard to tell when they're playing against Big 12 defense, if you want to call it that. But I thought when they played against Georgia tightened the windows there, and all of a sudden, and he's going to get that in the NFL. And so that was the only concern I had. Now, there's off the field or personality. Okay, but on the field, if I was assessing, that was the one thing that stood out.
Yeah.
What do you see when with Baker Mayfield?
Very similar, and I'll tell you, it's an intriguing tape for me. Is that 3 of the top quarterbacks in the draft played against Texas? Darnold did, Mason Rudolph did, and Baker Mayfield did, and all 3 teams scored the least amount of points they scored during the year, and all 3 quarterbacks struggled for different reasons. And Texas plays more. They're one of the few teams in the Big 12 that plays more of an NFL style. Play 1 high safety, 2 high safeties, a very sophisticated sub-package defense. And Baker Mayfield, the zone blitz stuff that the NFL does all the time.
Yeah.
I mean, they intercepted him. They dropped 2 pick sixes. He didn't see defensive ends dropping in the flat. It exposed, and I'm not trying to say he can't learn it because he hasn't been exposed to it very often, but it's just one of those things where he's going to have to learn how to win in the pocket against sophisticated NFL defenses.
Here's one for you. Of these teams most likely to draft a quarterback in the first round, Ravens, Steelers, Patriots, Chargers, Saints.
I think I've been talking about this Lamar Jackson thing for a while now. And I think one of those teams you just mentioned is going to schematically and philosophically commit to this kid, which is what it takes. It's an organization decision to go in a completely different fashion. I gave Jackson in my mock draft to the Baltimore Ravens at 16.
Okay.
And that would mean Joe Flacco is out after this year. And by the way, they signed RG3, which I think is also critical if you're going to commit to a run scheme type of thing for your quarterback. So you have a backup that can run the same thing that your starter can. And the other one, I think, is Sean Payton and the Saints. And if they moved up aggressively for Lamar Jackson, it wouldn't surprise me. And keep in mind, their backup quarterback is Taysom Hill, who ran 4.4 at BYU, and he's a run quarterback who played special teams last year for New Orleans. So both Baltimore and New Orleans could handle a conversion once their quarterbacks are done playing to a more college-type offense.
All right, finally this, and the most important part of this, any new draft jargon terms that we need to be aware of? Waistbender, stiff hips, heavy hands. What is it tonight, Mike, that we need to be aware of?
I always try to get taffy pull in, but it's hard to get a taffy pull in when you're only talking about one guy. You need 2 for a taffy pull.
What's a taffy pull?
It's when an offensive lineman and a defensive lineman just vigorously exchange hand usage with no one getting an advantage.
Okay.
It's a taffy pull.
Okay.
So, but we might be talking glass eaters tonight.
Glass eaters. How about a steak eater?
Steak eater?
How about carnivore? This guy, Quentin Nelson's a carnivore.
That's a little bit like Rich Eisen told me at the Combine when I said a guy was good in the phone booth, and he's like, Mike, there's a whole generation of kids now that don't even know what a phone booth is. which kind of brought me up short, like, oh, wow, you're right.
But you did use heavy hands last night, I think. Were you talking about Bradley Chubb, or was that Edmonds? Who has heavy hands?
Yeah, I think Bradley Chubb, like Joey Bosa, has heavy hands, violent hands, an ability to disengage, especially in the run game because you're heavy-handed.
Okay, so heavy hands. Well, have fun tonight, and we appreciate your time. Thank you, Mike.
I appreciate your time.
And you know what? When you see it, is it the Buccaneers are going to – who's having a parrot come up there to announce the pick?
It's Tampa Bay.
Okay. You're going to have a problem with that, right?
Listen, when they went back to the zoo for the 3rd time last year, I had a problem. I was good the first 2 times. But when Big Grover Stewart from Albany State heard his name and we went back to the frickin' zoo, I was like, enough's enough. Now, if the parrot drops in once, I'm good. Get the parrot 3 times, all bets are off.
All right. Thank you, Mike.
Good.
Stay in a good mood.
See you, man.
All right. That's Mike Mayock, NFL Network.
For more Dan Patrick Show, tune to Audience Channel 239 on DirecTV or download the Dan Patrick Show app.